Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Neremik and welcome back to more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time we continued with our trial in the Old Bailey. If we lose, we can't be a lawyer in London, but if we do, we get to be a lawyer. Now, where we left off, I'm actually going to use the history button for once. We were in the middle of interrogating, cross-examining the three people that were in the carriage when allegedly McGill had killed someone. So, just a little bit of a catch-up. Van Zieks is saying that McGilded was withholding information on purpose. So, we get to pick. We can either ask McGilded to testify or leave well alone. But, of course, we're going to demand his testimony, just so we can get, hopefully, a little bit more shred of evidence to maybe prove he's innocent. So, right, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. I need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say. Get the man out here, I say! It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the Guild. Hearing what the patron of my favourite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. I'm still not got any of the jurors' voices, but we'll get there one day. So, very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. So, things have taken a step up. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Nothing's ever clear in this game. We've at least got 2 more episodes of this case left. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure I have, my lord. There are now 2 matters on which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin as proposed by the defence. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police? Be God, no, this isn't my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the question, please. The truth of the matter is, I've always been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you all, keep my mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded? The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. It's true? It was me who helped the get an escape after it all happened. You what? No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Van Zieks. I'm sure you'd be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was? Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have rolled her into this here courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. And who was this young child of whom you speak? That, I don't know. You don't know? Well, Wington just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since. Objection! We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Smoke! Fire! There's a fire! Oh, someone's trying to get away! It's no use! I can't see anything through all this smoke. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Narrowhead, I'll cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defence is in custody and clear the courtroom. Yeah, we could have easily got to this place last time if I knew it was coming. Alright, so we were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff, amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, at the time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. Yes, we could have got that last episode. I just didn't realise that part was going up. Oh well, we'll make it work. Okay, yes, sure, I'll save. Why not? Easy. Okay. Oh, it was really that long ago that I played. An episode a month, what a wonderful pace. So, 18th February, 12:52 PM, the Old Bailey, defendants and chamber. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Narrowhead, I finally just figured out what happened. Mr. Sasso, I saw that it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilder was just talking about? My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilder recently? There are so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here! I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's also troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. Oh, according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems there are in fact 5 passengers, which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She's right, that is strange. Counsel for the defence, please kindly proceed into the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in right away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. Can't really imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of this trial. We'll know soon enough, Mr. Sato. Yes! Okay, so we've got a new witness, just when all the paths seem to be closing on us. There's a chance yet. Anyway, so 1 PM, the Old Bailey courtroom. The only courtroom, apparently. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilder. Look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilder. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks. My lord. I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which ventilated proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, the type typically employed by the army. Goodness gracious, the army? What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught, and now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in my courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behaviour? If I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilder. I think perhaps I ought to explain, why is it that this wheelass was here in the first place and why she tried to bolt like that? It is all tied up with the events that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGilder, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in this case. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. Okay. So we get a little bit of a glimpse of hope. I really hope there isn't any contradictions in this. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, big alright, a loud thud and wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fellow collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him upon the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. That last statement I need to press. Okay. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gather, on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct? This exactly as the defence counsel said. This last was the 5th passenger, my lord. Very well. The defence may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Okay. So Van Zeeks is thinking. That is never a good sign. Okay, but... so, on the night in question, I took the back seat. Like, a lot of this stuff is very just... You know. Right, there was a fellow collapsed on the floor at my feet, so... He's saying he was asleep when the guy died. Turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all caught up in a ball, hiding a wee self away. That, I want to press where they were, because I feel that's important. You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. It was odd to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball. When our eyes met, well, my heart nearly stopped beating in my chest. Ugh, you're really overreacting this. Still and all, I pulled her out from under there, and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chitwag with her. The seat opposite. That's right, just next to the dead gentleman there. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, a fellow's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right, you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, you must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with the knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not in fact see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason? Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. He's doing a very good job at swaying the audience. Aye, it certainly is plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused perhaps with this young girl. After that, of course. With the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realised something was wrong and pulled up the horses. I do wonder how you must be feeling, Mr. Naruhodo, being the defendant's lawyer and yet finding myself stunned as everyone else at this testimony. Let's just say it's trying. We certainly had precious time to talk with Mr. McGilded before the trial. But we mustn't be dispirited. We must try to learn the facts all that we can. When we arrived in London this morning, I didn't see my day panning out like this. Mr. Naruhodo, no grumbling even in your head. How did you know? Okay. On that question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and nodded off. Okay, Bagger, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. I want to see what he's on about with this. A loud thud, you say? And a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? It was like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor, having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me, I opened my eyes. There wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellow on the floor. You didn't see anyone, but at the same moment you did hear a scream? Ah, from the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume. Not above me, no, my lord. It was from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before my eyes. Alright, there was a fellow collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. We'll go with that. Hold it! You sat him up? The victim, you mean? That I did, on the seat across from me, as I said. I can plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor, now would you? 'Tis common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Alright, Lord Van Zeeks, where would that be? You wait to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Well, now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest? Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no, I was always intending to report it, so I was. Only I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores. Right, you are. There's some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yeah. The scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim. Okay. He still hasn't told us where the girl was, so I had to find out where that scream had come from. Bless my soul. Where did it come from? This is what I'm trying to figure out, but he's being evasive. Alright, I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well, now, 'tis a queer thing, the wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious! Under your backside. And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. Miss Narado, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course. The whole bus was submitted as evidence. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. And that's when I found her. Okay, so we've been prompted to at least investigate, so I'm going to do just that. So, examine, I'm going to go inside, decide without the blood on the seat, and click on the seat. So I assume this unlocks something. Okay, so, should we hit? Yeah. So I'm assuming it was this drawer then. I can't find anything out of place. How about here? This seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it. And only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really. Of course, an English gentleman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here. A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? Damn, Ryunosuke, pop off. Right, handle, here we go. Right, this seat has a handle, it seems. Okay. And then if we go in here. This is a storage compartment, but there's nothing here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't seem right here, but I can't put my finger on what it is. Can I have a bit more of a look around? I doubt it, but... Is one on the other side? No, that isn't, so this is the only side with it on. Did we get any more dialogue from investigating it? Something doesn't seem right here. There's a little suspicious black mark? Nah, it's the same comment. So I assume we're just going to press everything then, because I'm stumped otherwise. Alright, iron herself away. We haven't pressed the first statement, but that's it. I don't think this is going to be of much use. So when you first got onto the omnibus, were there any of the passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty and there was no one on the roof deck either. You were the first passengers, as it were. I see. Aye, and that's why I took the back side as I did. It's the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means. 'Tis how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl? Still not speaking. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her custom in large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here? A petty thief? Oh, it's lining up too easily. Order, order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Ah! How dare you? What is the meaning of this? And she's gone. Ah! The girl! She's gone! My thoughts exactly, surprisingly enough. Open your eyes. I'm over here. Good gracious. How? What was the point in that little sidestep? I know what you are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dear little dipper, you'll say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself backed into a corner, so she knifed the gent. Go on, that's what's in your head, ain't it? No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast... Look, knives are for cowards, only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. Let me guess, you don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs? Oh, this is in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep the four-wheel drags. It's nice, innit? I like the pink best. Ah, don't wave that thing in my direction again! So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question? It's alright, lass. You can tell him the truth now. Alright, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said. The court accepts this girl, Mr. Gino Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on the night in question. Alright, if I have to. Witness testimony, round 2. What the girl saw. So, I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. But it was alright, old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I tell you, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place, it's pitch in there. Then, after a while, I hear this loud bang. Then it jumps out my skin, I did, and the scream just came out. It's because of that this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. Yeah, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. No, 'tis simply myself, Lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I was sat that night. And the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume? Yes. It does appear large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Ah, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I had parked myself on the seat for the duration. Ah! So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't leave her myself if her young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realised that your action would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord. Not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this young lass's fortune. My goodness. What a perfect gentleman. My lord, this fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Get alive! All 6 members of the jury consensual in their leaning to a verdict of not guilty?
Miss Naruto, this... well, it must mean...
It must mean what?
that we're victorious.
We've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray do forgive the discourtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices, where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's listed in black and white here in the police report. Good lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilder's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from underneath the seats. What?! Order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have taken effect at council? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend? Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail as any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? Yeah, well, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry. Go ahead, you tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zeeks. Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat? I didn't look. It was empty. Or it wasn't empty. Now, one of these answers is neutral. It's the easy way out. But that's the coward's way. We can go along with our client and say that it was empty, that there was nothing inside. Or we can tell the truth and try and find out what really happened that night. But there is another truth, and that is that I was lazy in that episode and didn't actually look. Sorry, I'm a failure. I didn't look. Why didn't I examine the omnibus more thoroughly? Okay, someone's messaging me to do a shift at work. Perhaps I credited with you too much intelligence. Okay, sorry about that. My co-workers want to give me a much better shift than the really bad 9-hour one that they stuck me on. So apologies for the jump cut, but I'm feeling elated. It seems, my lord, that this Eastern initiative is as unreliable as wine from the barrel.
Miss Naruto!
Well, now it would seem the argument is moot. And the truth of the matter is there for all of you to see, after all. That the cubby hole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I believe. That compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The girls' rules state that the omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times, so it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo wasn't that irresponsible. That money-lending fleecer and the pick-purse are lying! Ugh. I can't believe I was nearly taken in! Stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, the lot of them. Oh no. It's a trick, of course it's a trick! Quite so, I must concur here. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. And once we're done, I think that's going to call it here. So, the whole balance of the trial just shifted almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. Yeah, see, Van takes us to be messed around. Like I said, it would have been too short a case if we won there, but my god, is that a good way to extend the trial. So, as far as I've read this out, so we're good. So we're stuck in the silence before they hooked up the horses like always. It's a right old waste of time, we got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I'll tell you, you can see a blind thing in that hiding place, it's pitch in there. That's physics, but that feels fishy, so I want to press it.
Hold it!
So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all? Not a lot. Most days you just push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. Then I can have a butcher's at whose I'm gonna fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, you see. So most of the time the passengers plant themselves the opposite. But for some reason that night this here Irishman sent the old journey right over me head. And for that reason you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out? I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages, so it's Hobson's choice. Why doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? And said there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanour. So anyways, I was a bit scared, but I had to just stick it out under there. Nothing else for it. Okay. So, then after a while I hear this loud bang and nearly jumped out of my skin I did, and a scream just came out. So I assume this is him dying, and then because of that this swell found me, he did help me get away, mind. Well, ask her if it was exactly the same as he said. When Mr. McGilder discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place? I was scared stiff I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim. Yeah. Bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit and he ended up falling onto me. Ugh, how awful. Both my hands got covered in blood, made me feel sick as a dog. Both her hands covered in blood. That must be what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilder for a while, is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know my name and what I was up to in there. Then I heard something from up above. Someone screamed. Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck, one would presume. Well, I didn't want no one seeing me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn smartish and near this Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat, else you can get away later." All 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent. For one brief shining moment, yes. It's clear they're all still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we would clinch the verdicts we want. Yes, I think you're right, and I have this niggling feeling something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. Okay. Alright, so let's look inside the carriage before we'll just press everything. Why not? So you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run? Well, yeah. I mean, what's the point of spending the joy to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, isn't it? I suppose you mean there's no point in spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. Four paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And one little scapegrace riding for free. The way conks of a driver will always go for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself hidden under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is a storage compartment, full of equipment for the coach, no? Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much. And yes, according to the report found by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you. It seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. Okay. When it was right old waste of time, I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I feel that's also alive. I'm not sure what it could be. Yeah, it's not. I was gonna say there could be a before and after where he's missing a piece of jewelry, but I doubt it. Okay, maybe we'll just press this. We'll be thorough. A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on my own with the God permit at least sometime. I beg your pardon. Did you say God permits? Oh yeah, well, that's what we can call it. You'd say that the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while. And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away? That's it. Only that night... This cove was sat on my seat from the start. And you didn't budge the whole way, did you? Not 1 inch, I was totally stuck. Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the whole duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin? Yeah? Right, mister. To be sure, I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect me to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do you? So this is Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then. Okay, so we need to present something then. You can't see a blind thing in that place. After a while I hit the slab, Bound nearly jumped out of my skin I did, and the scream just came out. That's also fine. Because of that, this swell found me in... Yeah, don't get away, get mine. Is it... Right old waste of time, I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. It must be this. Unless... Right, I want to try something. It looks like the horse is just like always. Part of me wants to think that it's the omnibus. Part of me does. So... Do we just present it?
Objection.
Yeah, I figured... I was hoping for the music to stop and it just didn't happen. It was clearly something odd here indeed to your behaviour, Counsel. Oh, please. Oh, don't mind me. That would be significantly easier if you would just lower your hand. I will lower my hand until I prove my client's innocence! As long as it's quite quick. Okay, so as long as that it must be nothing to show them. But I don't know what she could have to show. Debtor's ledger. Murder weapon? Just brief inscription. Nah, she wouldn't have nixed it off him, would he? Nah. She couldn't have nixed the thing, could she? She couldn't have nixed the knife that was sticking in the guy. Oh, sorry, yes. I just don't really like what... Oh, okay. I was wondering if they had anything important, but... Right, okay. You're speaking weird things here, Inosuke. So yeah, no, I don't think there's any, like, more point, it's just... I don't think there is anything. So Sato, do you have any advice? No, I've pressed everything. After all, the members of the jury asked. So one brief moment, they were all in agreement. I don't know, so... I'm gonna ponder this a little more. Oh!
Well, no.
What?
Excuse me.
Right, is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologise. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Miss Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps. You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no, it was nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all.
I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad shut up in the dark. It was terrifying, so it was.
I see, yes, I'm sure we can all sympathise. I'm still scared of the dark now.
Aye, and I don't know about yourself, but I find that darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well. Yeah. I suppose it does. Maybe.
Miss Lestrade, did you hear something that night? Anything, an unusual noise, perhaps?
Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring.
Pajamas, no need to tell the whole world of me for it was a little scamp.
What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue.
Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? It's important because she didn't hear anything. My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important? But all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important part. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless... Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please. Well, supplement? What do you want about? Don't give me all your fancy talk, I know what you try to do, well, won't work on me. That's right, insult the judge. Always a good move. Okay, so we've got something new to press. I was just pressing every statement, just trying to get something, and that came up. So I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was snoring. Very important, that. So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hid yourself? Yep, not exactly, no. Sorry?
Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then, when I saw this swell getting on, it got my head down so he didn't notice me.
And Mr. McGill had sat on the seat under which you were hiding, right?
Yeah! Would you add an even, eh? What a mug! So then, all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave. But what would he? Not likely. Even though we stuffed here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving pigs to the market, so like an old dog he was.
Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? It doesn't add up. Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts. At odds? Oh, are you sure, man?
Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Zieks realised it too.
Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some sort of complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGill snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think! There's something else she should have heard. It's a person. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. A sound very clearly explained by the presence of this person. And of course, it's thrice-fired Mason.
Take that!
Thrice-fired Mason. Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Order, order. Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus. Is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded? That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least, not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time? Did I not just say as much? I wasn't travelling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him got on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure. And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey, during which time did you not hear the door opening or closing at all?
Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't it? Waiting for this swell to leave.
In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage?
Ah!
We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts.
Ah!
Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zeeks.
Yes.
He knew. He knew all too well there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks were in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colourful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths and nothing more.
He's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. And this girl was a pickpocket, let's not forget that.
Oh, we're starting to lean. Oh.
She didn't even say anything. Well, I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she had some sort of rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars.
And neither can I. Mr. Foreman. I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than saviourous ways, but I must say, I cannot abide liars.
Miss Naruto, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty.
Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. So the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing.
What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you shall see, Sonana man?
This is carnage. It's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Miss Naruto, the way this is going, I know if we can't find some sort of new way to convince everyone of his innocence, the judge will rule and will have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Hold it!
Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What's he saying? Counsel! I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my education. Explain yourself at once. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside of the carriage. But we're going to get into that next time, so we're running a little late. Hopefully you enjoyed. Sorry I'm a little bit out of it. I'm going to try and get multiple episodes out of this month to make up for it. But hopefully you've enjoyed. I certainly have. Next episode is probably going to be the one that we wrap this up. So yeah, until next time, well said, hope you've enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like, comment, all that stuff. And until next time, well said, all that aside, I really do hope you've enjoyed. And thanks for watching, guys. My name's been Neremik, and peace out.